Once every generation, a piece of art comes out that makes us change the way we look at the world. That's right. I'm talking about the Dune popcorn bucket. Oh, hello. Welcome to the channel. My name is Gil Garcia, and today we are reviewing Dune Part 2, the sci-fi epic from Denis Villeneuve and Warner Brothers Discovery. Dune Part 2 is the mythical journey of Paul Atreides as he unites with Chani and the Fremen while on a warpath of vengeance against the conspirators who destroyed his family. Facing a choice between the love of his life and the fate of the known universe, he endeavors to prevent a terrible future only he can foresee. There's a very valid reason why this film is being regarded by filmmakers and audiences as the Empire Strikes Back of the Dune franchise. When we last left these characters, Paul and Chani were venturing through the sands of Arrakis after getting their asses kicked, for lack of a better word. And this is their comeback story. This movie is bigger, better, grander, and it fleshes out the world of Arrakis and the universe that Dune is set place in. There is so much ground to cover with this review, I don't even know where to begin. But I guess if I had to start somewhere, let's go with the visuals. This movie is a cinematic masterpiece from every single frame that's on screen. You talk about the movie-going experience as a dying breed. This is a movie that I highly recommend that you go out and watch, and on the best format possible. There are sequences in this movie that will captivate your mind and blow you away. The scene where Paul tames the sandworm alone is worth the price of admission. It literally feels like you're on a roller coaster. The way Denis Villeneuve shoots this scene makes it feel intimate, personal, and powerful. But not only that, let's talk about the Gaty Prime scene. This scene is shot in black and white, and it's done in such a unique and interesting way. I've never seen black and white done this well before. From the explosions in the sky being inverted to black, or at night being white, to Fade Routha's introduction. The cinematography and the visuals are on par with this film, and that's to be expected from Denis Villeneuve. This is the man who directed Arrival, after all. But there are so many iconic shots in this movie that will linger with you long after you leave the cinema. If you are going to watch this movie, like I said, go watch it in the biggest format possible, because that's where your eyes will get the biggest feast. As one of my favorite directors, Denis Villeneuve's style of filmmaking may not be for everyone. He really does take his time developing the characters and the relationships of the film. He gives his film a slow pace so that it can allow the film itself to breathe. Dune Part 2 is no different. Although a lot of the film has been taking place in Dune Part 1, Part 2 elaborates and establishes those characters and the world even further. Case in point, this movie gives a lot of screen time and a lot of highlights and points to Chani, Paul, and especially Stilgar, Javier Bardem. He's amazing in this film. And of course, the new characters that they've added, Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, Léa Seydoux. They all get their moments to shine here. I want to give a lot of credit to Timothée Chalamet. This is an actor that is clearly going through his Ryan Gosling phase. This actor that's been known to be a heartthrob that is now doing more interesting character work and is working with the best directors available. I loved him in Wonka, and I especially love him in Dune Part 2. In Part 1, he had a lot of room to grow, which meant his character was a little bit more subdued. Here, he gets the full range of emotions. You see him as an angry, questioning, uncertain protagonist that develops into this strong religious leader, this Jesus type of character. And Timothée Chalamet's ferocity, his anger, and his fears all come into play. He does a good job maintaining Paul in this world, getting you to endear with him as he's struggling, and then getting you to kind of question him as he becomes what he becomes at the end of the film. But the character I felt had the most to gain from Dune Part 2 had to have been Zendaya's Chani. Chani was only shown briefly at the end of Dune Part 1. She didn't have a lot of screen time. Here, she is the heart and soul of this movie. She carries the film and questions Paul as he rises up through the ranks of the Fremen. What I love about Zendaya's performance is that she not only is vulnerable in her love for Paul, but she's also very strong in leading her people. She cares about them a lot. And what happens at the end of the movie not only breaks your heart, but it leaves you wanting more from her. I really want to see where Zendaya takes this character. She is fantastic in this movie as well. The real standout in this movie for me is Austin Butler's Fade Routha. Fade Routha is a sight to behold. Every time he's on screen, you can't look away. His charisma, his psychotic attitude is unbelievable. This character is very much like the Darth Maul of Dune. Whenever he appears on screen, you know shit's about to go down. He is an uncaged animal let off the leash by the Harkonnens, and now he's hunting down Paul Atreides and the Freemans. Dune Part 2 raises the stakes, loads the gun, and kicks us off into a war that we're all anticipating to watch. Given the way that this movie performed at the box office, I'm sure we're going to get a third movie, Dune Messiah, whether or not Denis Villeneuve returns. I can't wait for that movie, and given that this is a 2.5-hour film, leaving us wanting more is a big testament to how well this movie has been doing and how well this movie is made. Dune Part 2 gets a resounding 5 out of 5. I don't like to use the word masterpiece that often, but I do feel like Dune Part 2 is a masterpiece of science fiction filmmaking. This is a movie that begs you to watch it in the biggest screen possible with the best format possible. So what did you think of Dune Part 2? Leave a comment down in the section down below and make sure to like and subscribe on the channel. If you want a deeper dive into the world of Dune, I do a podcast every Tuesday. My review of Dune will be coming up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and here on YouTube this upcoming Tuesday. So, as always, go catch a movie.